If y'all got to watch the fights this weekend, they were great. And in the words of people on the internet, the fight fans got to eat. The BMF belt on the line, one of the most anticipated boxing matches that we've had probably of the decade. This is the Fight Index, the Fight Entertainment Index. Welcome back. If you saw me last time, here we talk about the entertainment fight cards and specific fights. Before we get into it, let's talk about the rules. Each fight is scored 1 through 10. For fight cards, when we score them, we just talk about the individual fights, take those scores up, add them together, divide them by the amount of fights on the card, and you have a card score. I don't know what this one's going to be, so we'll see. We're going to start off with Michael Chiesa and Kevin Holland. Interesting fight. Michael Chiesa is coming off like a maybe like 2 or 3 year leave of absence, I guess you could say. To me, when I was watching this fight, it was interesting. You saw Kevin Holland going straight to the body, digging at his body. As soon as you saw Michael Chiesa bend down for any reason, Kevin Holland was just hitting him in the body over and over again. He tried to get him down. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got a takedown on Kevin Holland one time. But after that, I think he used really good takedown defense to kind of stay off the ground. And from there, pretty much the fight was over. Hit him a few times on the feet. And then, probably no one expected this, he got a Darce choke and choked him out. It was pretty impressive for Kevin Holland, who hasn't shown the best ground game in the past. This was a pretty nice showing from him. He says he wants to go back up to 185 instead of staying at 170. I don't like that idea. I think he's looking great at 170, and he's actually looks like he's improving with every fight. But that being said, I'm not sure if he's like necessarily fighting for a belt at this point in time. So if he's not, I guess it is what it is. But to me, that fight was a 10. You know, I got to give him a round of applause, like give him a hand. He did his thing. You know, shout out to Kevin Holland. The next fight we had, Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Tony Ferguson coming into this fight, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had like a 4-fight losing streak or something like that. You know, fan favorite by a lot of people. Bobby Green is becoming one of those people who are also a fan favorite because of his style of fighting. So coming into this fight, I think a lot of people expected somewhat of a stand-up war. In the first round, you know, it was kind of back and forth, but then you saw Tony Ferguson actually drop Bobby Green, and he caught him just right on the chin, put him down, and then leading into the second round, Tony Ferguson says he thinks it was, you know, intentional, but that's neither here or there. He got eye poked by Bobby Green. From there, the fight kind of took a turn, and Bobby Green started to find more of his rhythm. I would say even at the end of round one, he was kind of finding his rhythm, but leading into round two, round three, leading up to the choke, which ended the fight. You know, it's pretty much Bobby Green's fight after the second round. I thought it was a pretty good performance, though, from him. Where Tony Ferguson is at in his career, Bobby Green being an up-and-coming fighter, you would expect him to do a little bit more. But he did get the finish, so it's like congratulations to him. That being said, for Tony Ferguson, it leaves him in somewhat of an interesting spot. You know, I guess we'll see what the future holds for him. Definitely, whatever he chooses to do, I just hope he puts his safety first. And that's all I have to say about that. I think I'm going to give it about an 8. Like, I think it was a good performance, but that being said, I don't think that it was necessarily the most entertaining fight. I think as far as what the implications have on each of the fighters' career, that part is, you know, definitely a little bit more interesting. But it is an interesting fight with a finish on it, so I can't take away from Bobby Green's performance. It was good. He did a good job. Stephen Thompson was supposed to fight Michel Pieta on this card. Michel Pieta did not make weight. Instead, we got Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, who was coming in to fight Marcus Lima, said that he was coming into the weigh-ins and he would show a six-pack. Not only did he show a six-pack, but he showed an amazing display of, you know, skill, I guess you could say. It was ridiculous, you know. Derek Lewis starts the fight in a way probably nobody expected, with a flying knee. And not only does he start the fight that way, he connects with said flying knee and knocks Marcos Lima down to the ground. To start beating on him, just beats him up until the fight's over. It took all of about 30 seconds, knocked him out. Then got up, did a dance, took off his shorts, said his balls were hot, you know, like it celebrated in a way that only is fitting of Derek Lewis. The crowd was better for it. So I would say that fight was a 10. You know, like that shit looked impressive. Like, you can't really take that away from Derek Lewis. Like, wow. I think Derek Lewis was in a spot where he had to perform. and he did in very emphatic fashion, So I applaud him for his efforts on that night. The co-main event we had was for Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz. This is a fight I was really looking forward to. Honestly, it was like my main event of the night. I really wanted to see the light heavyweight debut of Alex Pereira coming off of the knockout loss to Israel Adesanya, see how he would actually perform. On top of that, it's a mutual opponent in Jan Blachowicz who, was able to best Izzy in a 5-round fight for the title. So I think this is a pretty good indicator of where he's at in the weight class. When the fight started, he took Alex down, was working him a little bit. That was pretty much the first whole round. He worked him the whole time. Like, it wasn't really too much more to it than that. The second round, took him down again, worked him a little bit, but this time you see Alex Pereira get up. Jan Blachowicz has a better ground game than Alex Pereira. If anybody's going to the ground, it's going to be Jan Blachowicz, and that's just the case. That being said, the real question to that fight was, can he take him down and work him for 3 rounds straight? And that was not the case. At the end of round 2, Alex Pereira got up. He started actually finding his rhythm on the feet. He was getting hit, that's for sure, but I would say he was getting the better of the stand-up exchanges. And the same thing happened in round 3, which led to him winning the fight. I'm not really upset with the decision. I know some people are, but I think that's kind of nonsense. Jan, he did take him down. He worked him in the second round, but he didn't really do much damage. At least in the first round, you could say he had a submission attempt. So that was that. But as far as the third round goes, he didn't necessarily win that round. And that second round, I feel like Alex Pereira won. So it kind of is what it is. With that being said, I give that fight a 6. I think if you're not into the fight and know what's going on with the fight as to how important it might be, it's not going to be the most entertaining fight for you. It was good. It wasn't bad, but that it wasn't just like, fireworks and blah, blah, blah. It just wasn't that. The main event, Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. You could see that it was a different fight than the first one. I had Justin Gaethje win in the first round. I thought he was just the more accurate of the two fighters. He was just getting off his shots a lot more than Dustin Poirier, in my opinion. And then leading into the second round, it was a little bit of, trying to gauge the distance, moving around the octagon. All of a sudden, boom, head kick, fight over. Knocked him out, put him down on his ass. And I was like, wow, I was pretty impressed by Justin Gaethje. Like, you can't be mad at him for going in there and winning the BMF belt, I guess. But he did the right thing. At the end of the fight, he said, the BMF belt was cool, but he really wants a shot at the lightweight title. And if he gets it, then why not? I think that Islam doesn't really have any clear opponent at the moment with Charles Oliveira being out. So, yeah, they can do that. I think it would make a little bit of sense. So I say screw it. Why not? That fight got a 9. Before we go and say our final thoughts, let's get to this boxing match. After the Bobby Green fight, they had said that the Terrance Crawford Errol Spence fight was about to start, and there was about 30 minutes in between the third fight and the main event. I knew the Derek Lewis fight wasn't going to last that long. Anybody who watched Derek Lewis fights should know that fight wasn't going to last that long, and it didn't. So by the time that fight started, we had just coming off the Derek Lewis fight, looking to see the performance of a lifetime. And that's exactly what we got. The first round seemed to be more or less of a filling out process between Errol Spence and Terrance Crawford. It looked so crazy watching it live because Terrance Crawford was clearly getting some of the better of the exchanges, and I would say his punches just looked more effective than Errol Spence's did. But that being said, towards the end of the round, they're fighting, clink, clink,
combination,
put him down. Put him down. I was like, oh shit. If anybody's watching this fight, you already know, like, it's about to be, if he got knocked down in the second round, mind you, going into this fight, everybody said this fight is about as 50-50 as it can get. Second round knockdown out of 12 rounds, this fight's not going all the way. It pretty much didn't get any better for Errol Spence from there. I would say for the next three rounds, you see Errol Spence, because he was the busier fighter in the first round, and he tried to continue that process. I would say for the next 3 rounds, then you could just tell at a certain point in time in the fight, Terrance Crawford just, he started amping up the ante and, just started coming forward a little bit. I'd say after he started coming forward in the fight, you already knew the way the fight was going to go. Like there wasn't a chance for Errol Spence, unfortunately. And not to speak bad on him, these are two technicians that went in there. I think everybody should be grateful that they got to see this fight. Not all the time do we get to see two people in their prime who are very good fight. I would say round 6, Errol Spence just sitting there, he's trying his hardest, but Terrance Crawford just doing his thing, backing up into a corner, like really just beating him up at this point in time. You could just tell like Errol Spence had just had enough and they stopped the fight. And I think that this was very impressive by Terrance Crawford. I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest boxing fan in comparison to MMA at least, but that was very impressive. Obviously, that fight gets a 10, so that's not even a question. So that's just my opinion. What do you guys think of the fight? What do you guys think of the UFC card as a total? This night's going to go down in the history books forever. I thought this shit was amazing. See you later. Peace.